Decentering men is a lot easier when you're single, but you got to do it when you're married too. So I want to show an example of a way that a husband is trying to make his wife center him and his feelings through his family, right? And I'm going to tag one of my mutuals who talks about decentering your in-laws, because that's a whole journey for a lot of women, right? Especially if they're married to men who have like toxic boy moms or just, married to the little prince, but also because of our own conditioning, right? Where like his family is more important than ours. Now, this is not the case in my family. I love my in-law. They don't expect me to ever center them or their son, right? So anyway, I'm very lucky I did not run into this, but I want to show what this, like I hear this all the time. So many women have issues with their in-laws, and it's because one, they're the parents of their husbands, especially because of the way they were conditioned and they haven't unpacked any of this stuff, they assume that she should bend to their will, that she should center him and center them by proxy, right? And then a lot of men don't realize or don't care. It's usually they don't care. But a lot of times also they don't realize that they're participating in a system that is dehumanizing their wife by making their wife just like to center not only him, but his parents and what makes his parents feel good. And this really comes out with the kids, right? Like the mother-in-law wants to be there in the delivery room and all this stuff in terms of her access to the grandkids, right? So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to show you an example of a way a man wrote into the Washington Post, and I love the response from this woman. I want to take it a little bit farther, and I hope he listens to this. Okay, so the title, this is the Dear Caroline series. Why won't the wife just humor her condescending in-laws? Why won't she just put up with her own condescension? Like, what? I don't get. So he says, I'm really frustrated with my wife and maybe need a reality check. Yes, you do. The fact that he's unaware that maybe he needs a reality check means that there is a tiny bit of hope there that he may realize that he's being selfish. He just needs someone to point it out to him why. My parents are so easy to be around. If, and this is key, if you know how to handle them. I mean, first of all, like, dude, they don't sound easy to be around. They sound like jerks because you have to handle them in order to, anyway, God. I figured it out a long time ago, and I've tried to help my wife handle them too. My dad loves to give advice about people's work. He thinks he's a Warren Buffett type who knows all the ins and outs. My wife's job is far removed from what my dad does, so none of his advice applies, but all she has to do is humor him. That's all. All she has to do is abandon herself and her integrity and pretend like this man knows more than her about her own job. That's it. Why won't she do that? Recently, she was giving a presentation to the VP, and my dad found out about it and gave her advice. That was a little old-fashioned about what to wear and how to behave. Oh my God. What to wear? I hate this dad. Oh, sorry, father-in-law. Also, men's advice is always, well, women do this too, right? Unsolicited advice that's actually unbelievably mean. But when men do it, when they try to teach us something and help us with something, it is literally to put us in our place. I'm not saying that's why women don't do it too, but men do this constantly when they think they're better than you at all the things, because they always think they're better at everything than us, except for things they don't want to do. And then they pretend to be worse. All she had to do, that's all she has to do to make him happy. Why does she have to make him happy, bro? Why does she have to do that? Was pretend that she took it and it worked. God. See, now I'm starting to question the husband. You don't see how that is demoralizing and degrading and like misogynistic to make a woman pretend like she doesn't know anything, to make a big man feel important and good. Fork you. But instead, she told him why his advice wouldn't work, and they ended up arguing, and my dad walked away hurt. Oh, the little king baby didn't get his ego stroked by the woman. God, I can't believe my wife wouldn't help my dad get off on being superior to her. God, uh-oh. With my mom, it's the same. But for cooking and household stuff, of course. I bet this is the worst mother-in-law in the world. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. You're not doing this right. I swear, mother-in-laws, especially like ones who are really attached to their role, in like their gendered role, whoo, they have so much to say about their daughter-in-laws and how they parent and how they cook and how they keep the house. And here's the thing. If the house doesn't look good, the man will never be judged. The woman will. Even if it's his job, even if they have a division of labor where it's his job, she will be judged. She will look bad. Oh, God. She doesn't believe food can be good if you make it ahead. So she always asks. All my wife, all she has to do is stroke the ego of my toxic boy mom. All my wife has to say is the food was made fresh that day and my mom would be happy. Just lie. Lie for the ego of my mom. This is how they want us to center them, by centering the ridiculous needs and the fragile feelings of everyone who loves them. Stop doing this. I'm not going to do this. Is there any way to convince my wife to humor my parents, or am I going to have to live with this constant bickering? No, you know what you need? You need to grow a pair, bro. You don't have to, it's neither. Grow a pair. That's it. That's my advice. If I had an advice column, I would say grow a pair. Stop being such a weak man. Okay, I love this response though. Love spouse. Sounds like the real problem is parents who expect applause for their relentless condescension. Oh, there's my baby. Almost. You'll have to make peace with them. Great. I am all for workable solutions. But your workable solution is not workable for your wife. Okay? Okay? So move on and ask whether she's willing to discuss other bicker prevention strategies, because it's driving you nuts. Get off to a healthy start by apologizing for all you have to do's. I love that she called him out for that campaign, which sounds suspiciously like the next gen version of your parents' relentless know-it-all. Hiring people is just fine if that's what you want to do, but it's miserable if it doesn't sit right and dishonest. It's downright infuriating if refusing to suck up to intrusive people is identified as the real problem, not the people who refuse to stop intruding. Boom! Oh my God, Anthony always makes fun of me because he was like, why do you say boom all the time? Is all the language in the US about war? I'm like, yeah, actually, I started noticing it. It happens all anyway. I don't feel too bad because you married it too. There's no bickering without her voluntary entry into I know more than you do Olympics. You're all overdue to try some of the many ways to disengage politely. She's had the option all along, as yet exercised, to say gently but firmly that she won't talk with them about X. I leave my work at work, thanks for understanding, then gliding away from the subject. I agree with this, okay? Like, we can't make these people stop talking to us like this, and clearly what she's doing isn't working. So I do actually think that continuing to get mad and engaging with these people who are committed to misunderstanding, stop engaging. Stop engaging. That's what I think. Honestly, I think that's what the dad wants, is either A, to put her in her place and make her humble her, or B, is to get her riled up, to get her pissed. Like, I hope it's neither, but I would be willing to bet it's one of those. And so that is what I have learned the hard way, is that my boundary is not to make you stop doing this. My boundary is I'm not even going to play this game with you. Bye-bye. I'm going to the bathroom now. I'm not talking about that. Yeah. Thanks, but I don't want your advice. Because the more riled up we get, the more we defend ourselves to someone who's committed to misunderstanding us, the more we show them that we care what they think. And they get off on that. Even if you win the argument, they actually win for upsetting you, right? And even though you have a right to get upset, like that's what they want a lot of time. And so refusing to participate in defending your humanity, honestly, I find that the best course. Okay, we came inside because it's a little cold. So another example is saying, nope, not discussing my kitchen secrets, then gliding away from the subject, or thanks, and then smile, disengage. And actually, I want to give an example of what my stepmom taught me, because my dad's mom would say the most offensive stuff to her sometimes. And again, I think a lot of times they are literally provoking you. So like my grandmother, who God, now that I understand that she was abused, had an affair with a neighbor for 20 years, literally hated my grandfather, was a hostage, and also she used to work, I found out. Although once she had kids, she had to stay home. So I think at one Christmas dinner or something, she said to my stepmom, she was just talking all this crap, all this traditional crap, which I don't believe she believed in, because she was held hostage by the trad wife crap. Like most of our grandmas were being held hostage, by the way. And she was like talking about how she didn't think women should work outside the home or something, or they should stay home and raise the kids, which again, I don't think she believed that. But, women and people will say stuff, not because they believe it, but because that was their reality. So they're just trying to justify it. And I don't think women should work outside the home. And my stepmother said once, because maybe she tried to argue it or something. I don't know how she learned this, but I was like, oh my God, I'm using that. And so she was like, I don't think women should work outside the home, and looked right at her and was like, what do you think? What do you think? Women, knowing that my stepmom not only worked outside the home, but I don't know if she knew this or not, but that she, was way more successful than my dad. And my stepmom just looks at her and goes, yeah, some people think that. That's it. You can't argue with that. So I'm sharing that because I was like, wow, that is brilliant. Because if you argue with her being like, well, I work out, that's what they want. They want an argument. They want you to engage. They want to rile you up. They want to upset you. So then they can prove that you're wrong. It's the same thing with men. When men say this stuff to provoke you, be like, oh, yeah, some people, refusing to argue with people who are committed to not listening to you and don't want to understand, refusing to argue with them is so empowering. It shuts it down. It also shows you can't get to me. I'm so confident in what I'm doing, what I believe, that I'm not going to engage in this conversation. It is not worth my time. Honestly. See, such a good strategy, because it's not saying you're wrong. It's saying, yeah, I heard what you said. Some people think that. It doesn't work in every scenario, but I'm just sharing that because I think it's brilliant. Because if there's one thing that women do, it is we spend way too much time doing emotional labor. And, we are asked to do so much stuff. We do not have time to just give away for free. We don't have energy to give away for free, especially to people who are toxic and don't care. So one of the most empowering things that I've learned is to not engage with people who will not listen to me and do not care. They are trying to wear you out. They're trying to humble you, break you down. They're trying to rile you up. And the more you engage, the more empowered they feel, because they know they got to you. Right? I'm not saying that this is across the board, because sometimes it is worth it. But a lot of times, if you know that person is committed to not listening, it's like stonewalling them, right, or whatever. Especially if they're a narcissist. He's snoring. I don't know if you can hear that. And you have the option of saying, asked and answered, Mom, Pop, as you take the radical step of prioritizing your wife's happiness this time. And this is what I want the focus to be right here. Men who will not defend their wives. Men who will let their parents talk to you that way. Men who will make you have to go to bat against his parents and just watch it play out. And then be pissed at you for not being a coward like him. Bro, again, grow a pair. Stand up. And it sounds like his wife is confident. And doesn't want to allow these people to treat her like crap. And he's just sitting there watching it. And is like, why won't you just put up with this? That to me is a man who cares more about his relationship with his parents than he does with me. And I'm telling you, a man who will prioritize his mother's ego, especially, or both of his parents' ego, over his relationship with you and the peace and happiness in your relationship, that man, like, that is a huge red flag. So, you know, if you date men and you meet his parents and his family, pay very close attention to if this man is a coward with his family, how he expects you to behave with his family. Because I'm telling you, I'm not saying that you can sense all this up front, but I want you to look. Because do not marry a man who will not stand up to his family. Now, again, this may take a while, right? Like, but you need to have that conversation right out of the gate and set that tone, like, you know, because do not set that tone of like, I'll go along with all this crap. I will let your parents talk to me like shit. Like, don't do that, because that is showing out of the gate that you will abandon yourself for him and his happiness, which isn't really happiness, for him and his lie that he's telling himself, for him and his delusion, and him and his toxic, you know, dysfunctional family system, like that you are willing to abandon yourself and center him. No, because I'm not saying being a jerk when you first meet him. I'm just saying, if he does that to you when you first, if that's the tone, you need to call it out right away and be like, that I will not do that. I will not subject myself to that. We need to figure out a way, because you may let them talk to you that way, but I actually was challenged with this because I really struggle with boundaries with, you know, family members and stuff. Because, you know, I'm like the youngest, and I was like, okay, then well, I'll go along. And actually getting married really gave me that incentive to step into my power or whatever and use my voice and know, like, I'll like, and this is just in general, like, I'll let oh, look at you. Oh my God, Mose. One of the things that I've realized is a lot of times I won't do something for myself, but if I'll do it for someone I love. I hate that, but it's the truth. I won't defend myself, but I'll defend us. And so I've had to have some challenging conversations, but it felt so empowering, because it's not just me anymore, it's us. And so being with a man I really love, and also me wanting to grow and me not wanting to fall into old patterns, has really challenged me to how I communicate with family and anyone from my past. You know, like, instead of just, I have to really think about what's best for us. And I've never done that before. I'm just like, okay, you know? And so I'm saying this is for both people, right? Because a lot of women also, I'm sure, have unhealthy boundaries with their families. And this gives us the opportunity, especially if we have a very caring, loving husband and a really healthy marriage, don't sabotage that by playing into your old family systems. Whether it's just, and it doesn't mean, you know, like your family's bad. It's just like, oh, you know, we all have something that happens in our family that maybe isn't necessarily the healthiest way to deal with something. And this gives us an opportunity to challenge ourselves the way I expect a man who loves me to challenge himself and face his family and stand up and be a man. And by be a man, I mean be an adult. We're not kids anymore. We're not little baby children. Like, I'm paying my own bills. You know, I mean, this has been my life for a long time. Nobody should be able to tell me what to do anymore. I'm an adult. He's an adult. Don't let him make you center his mother, his daddy, or their stupid little egos, because that will ruin your marriage. And if he won't work on that, well, pay close attention to that. And make decisions accordingly over time if he continues to put them over y'all's relationship. Right, Mouse? Oh my God, he doesn't even wake up. Oh.